Hello, Holly. Welcome to Powered Women Wellness. We're so excited to have you. How are you?
I am so honored to be here. I just love you and your sweet energy, and I am excited to talk.
Yes, ditto, girl. Before we get started into all things just like your routines and habits, and she is like essential oil queen over here, y'all. So I'm so curious on like bringing that in and how you just add it into your day. First off, I kind of spoiled it, but tell us more about like what you do and how you got into it.
Yeah, so I'm Holly. I am a registered nurse. I live outside of Seattle with my husband and three kids. We live on a little like family farm with a huge garden and lots of different animals. I am founder of Science of Essentials, which is just a online resource that supplies education worldwide about utilizing essential oils just to support holistic health. Um, I'm a nurse. I think I said that.
Yes.
But I've been a nurse for 17 years. I feel like ever since I was a little kid, I just wanted to be a nurse. And that's just kind of, you just know, I don't know. Sometimes you're just
Yeah.
like born into that. I was just a natural nurse, but I've had a wide range of different specialties. I've worked trauma, burns, post-operatively, endoscopy, and then I've also worked in hospital administration. So I have like kind of a
Wow.
wide range of
Wow.
different specialties. And as a nurse, I felt always really gravitated towards learning more about patients and their story. I was never like the nurse that like hung out at the nurse's station, like drinking the coffee and talking. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing
Yes.
against those nurses. You need to like unwind and like take breaks, but I love to just hang out with the patients. I love to be at the bedside and like giving them foot baths and talking to the families. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
always was interested in their stories and their backgrounds. Like
Mm,
I always wanted to know like what kind of like brought them in. And there was always a common factor. Obviously, with my trauma patients, that was like sudden, unexpected, out of
right.
control. But a lot of the other patients, there was always a similarity in stress and how that played a role
Mm,
potentially in their health. So whether it was,
wow.
battling, like IBS or Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or strokes or heart related conditions, it was always like stress. So I've always had like a strong connection with stress. So that kind of led me into discovering aromatherapy, which is so strong with the mind and the
Mm,
body connection. And kind of, I feel like all this, like you look back in your life and you see like all these little like paths being placed, like little dots on the path, like leading
yes.
you to a certain direction. And I think that's kind of just all these stones that led me to becoming a certified aromatherapist. So I teach now at the School for Aromatic Studies and teach aromatherapy certification programs to students. I also
Nice.
have brought in several aromatherapy programs into hospitals to support bedside patients. So I have like my hand in a lot of different fun
Rowan.
projects. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's
It's so fun.
so needed. And I love that you incorporate that into hospitals because it's so needed. And I think there's even
Yeah.
studies on that. Because I
Tons.
remember, okay, I swear I remember running into a couple that talked about like both benefiting the practitioners and the patient. I think it was things like lavender. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so simple. Why is this not
Yes.
common?
Yes.
Why?
It's becoming more common. I think it's really taken a while for hospitals to recognize that it's, cost effective. There's no risk or
Yeah.
harm really to patients, and patients love it. And the patient satisfaction scores like go so high up, which is
Amazing.
what something, hospitals are very focused on. So patient satisfaction scores. So
Yes.
if they can do that in a cost effective way, they're very like prone that, and it helps the staff too. Like the staff
Yes.
needs as much support in hospital healthcare
Yes.
settings as much as possible, especially right now. I mean, with the turnover rates and everybody's quitting
Oh
and
my
leaving,
gosh.
they need to be like poured into. So the nurses especially, they love being able to like utilize aromatherapy with their patients,
Mhm.
and it helps both of them, which is so
Yes.
nice.
I love that. I love that. Are you still currently like nursing in any regard or no, you're just doing this part
Not,
time?
no, not, I'm not a bedside nursing. I just work as a aromatherapist, but with my nursing background, I kind of combine the two.
Nice.
So just working in creating like hospital policies with essential
Amazing.
oils. We're going to work on ruling out a clinical trial in 2024 with a big
Yay.
group. So just like little things like that kind of working in, which I
I
love
love it.
even more so. Like maybe someday I'll go back to bedside, but right now I just love doing this. And I feel like I get the best of both worlds. So
Yes. Oh, I love that. So we'll get into your routines, and yes, feel free to give us some insight, like how, if you're using essential oils in any regard, with morning routine, give us just the spiel. Like, what are you doing when you wake up? Are you listening to anything, eating anything, drinking anything? Yeah, everything.
okay,
Walk us through.
routines. So I love talking about routines because like I'm a big science nerd, obviously. So like I know the importance of a routine and I know when my routine is off, like I'm off, right? Like I
Yes.
just like our basal ganglia loves to be on autopilot. And when we're not, like our prefrontal cortex gets exhausted and we get fatigued and it just brain
Yes.
fog. And like if my routine's off in the morning, it like flows into the entire day. So I
Yes.
really try to be consistent about my routine, especially in that like first hour after waking up. Like that is probably my most important time. So one thing I do, I never ever check my phone the first hour after waking up. Like I can't, I'm just a quiet person. My husband is opposite. He loves like listening to the radio, getting things
Mm,
like songs, and he's a very active brain. So I think he needs to like have something always going on in the background. But for
yes.
me, I'm like, I need it to be like quiet. So I try to wake up before my kids. I'm a big believer in like waking up with the sun. So
Yes.
in the winter, I sleep longer. And in the summer, right now, I'm in Seattle. So the sun is up at like 4:45. So usually
No
like I kind of
way.
I'll like, oh, it's like our like it doesn't go down until like 9:30. So like we have very long days here. Just because we're so
That's
far
kind of
north. So
cool.
I know. So, but
So
like by
cool.
5:30 though, because the sun has kind of been up already, I'm like, okay, it's right. Like I feel like I've slept in, like
Yes.
because it's been up so long. And I know some people use like blackout curtains or whatnot, but I just love the sun and the birds and like having that natural way to wake up. So
Me too.
but in the winter it's different when the sun doesn't come up till 8 o'clock. That's my time. Like I lean into the seasons, right? Like that's my
I
time to
love
just
that.
like chill. So I always set out, I'm a big runner. So I've been a runner for 4 years and I set out my running clothes the night before just because that helps kind of motivate me in the morning.
Yes.
So right away, I'll get my running clothes on. I always drink a huge glass of water before anything, just because, we're mildly dehydrated in the morning when we first
Yes.
wake up. Um, Most days I will like do a quick meditation. I'll like grab an essential oil because I'll usually be like a little drowsy still, we're still waking up and I'll grab like an essential oil inhaler, kind of like this, and just like take some deep breaths and then do a quick like a 10-minute meditation. I use the app Headspace, which I love.
Yes.
And yeah, they have just such good like wake up ones and things. And I feel like it just really like kind of like clears my head, gets like that busy thinking out before I start my day. And then I'll go for a run. And then I'll switch from like my running shoes to my farm boots right away as soon as I get back and do my farm chores with our chickens and guinea hens and everyone. And then I'll make a protein shake, take a quick shower. I have like, my skincare routine. And then by then my kids are awake. So then it's kind of like going, 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 getting them ready for school. So that's kind of my basic traditional way to kind of routine every morning. It's just that little bit of time
Nice.
for myself. That 30 minutes makes such a huge difference in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, it does. With some of your, it's, oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. Essential oils.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite like morning ones?
Yeah. So I also will get like the diffuser going in the morning. Especially I try to get it going like before my kids wake up, because if they wake up and it
Mm,
smells good in the house, that makes a huge difference in their moods.
nice.
Like, even as a kid, like growing up, if your mom was making like muffins in the morning, like that transforms your mood when you
Yes.
walk into the room, or like how people love the smell of coffee in the morning, right? That's part of their routine.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily that caffeine, it's that smell of the coffee. Like it's a soother for them. So incorporating like aromatics like into our morning routine to make us feel like calm and focused and ready. So I love to like make a blend usually in the diffuser, or even just like smell it with like I'll combine like a citrus and a mint. So I'll do like peppermint and
Ooh.
orange, or peppermint and grapefruit, because mint tends to kind of wake us up, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
stimulating to the senses. And then any of the like citrus oils, they're very rich in a chemical constituent called monoterpenes, and they are just like uplifting. So grapefruit, bergamot, lemon. There's people there, people that drink lemon water in the morning. That helps wake them up and make them
Yep.
happy. So those are probably my favorite. I mean, there's so many oils that I love. I also love the smell of trees. So a lot of tree oils like
Mm,
spruce, fir is really great for focus. So like depending on what my day has in store, if I have a lot going on and I need to kind of like get my mind ready and
yeah.
focused, I love like fir and like rosemary. Rosemary is just so great for our memory. Vetiver is really great for focus. Those are probably the common ones that I use like in the morning.
Nice. Nice. Before we get to nighttime routine, do you have anything that your go-to for during the day as well? Or like a busy day, maybe you're slightly overwhelmed, you have a lot going on. What's your go-to?
So if I'm overwhelmed, usually it's because I have, a lot going on
Yeah.
and I'm anxious and trying to take too many things on at once, which is almost always the case. So I'm always looking for something that's going to like ground me and put me in like the present moment. And any of like the grounding oils tend to be, again, the tree oils. So spruce, black spruce, fir, frankincense, anything derived from a tree, copaiba. A lot of those oils, like when we smell them, I've actually heard, some of my, clients will say this, like they'll feel their feet be heavier when they smell them. And I'm like, yep, like that's like grounding you
Wow.
in that moment. And the first time someone said this, she was like, it just felt really weird to me. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, no, that's exactly how it's supposed to make you feel. Like it's making you feel like
Wow.
present. And I've experienced this like when I first started using oils. I remember giving my like baby a bath like in the sink, the sink baths with little babies. And
Yeah.
I remember being like really overwhelmed. I'm like, I'm just going to put some black spruce in the diffuser nearby us. And I remember like within a minute of diffusing it, feeling like that sensation of like my feet kind of being heavier and just feeling my mind relax and like the tension in my shoulders kind of, relax a little. And all those things that we carry like as women and as mothers, just kind of like diminish. And I'll never
Yes.
forget that feeling. And that's what I just like love about essential oils is just taking those moments, those small moments, and how our sense of
Yeah.
smell can just help benefit that.
Yes. I mean, I know I do like take it for granted of all the smells that even like in the moment of throwing it back to an old memory or an old thing. So
Yeah.
I remember like walking out on like a football field and I was just
Mm.
like, it took me back to when I was like a cheerleader, when I was younger. And it was just,
Oh,
I don't know. It's just so crazy that just smell has
yes.
so much power that I think
Yes.
we give it credit for. I know I undercredit it all the time and
Oh,
I know the
yeah.
importance of it, but it still blows my mind of the power it truly
Yes.
has.
Yeah. Our sense of smell can bring back the most emotionally vivid memories compared to any other sense that we have. And like,
I believe
like
that.
knowing this, we should use it more.
Yes.
Right. Like, I don't think we just take it for granted. Thankfully, with COVID, I feel like a lot of people realized how important their sense of smell was when they
Yes.
lost their sense of smell. Like actually that like kind
Yes.
of brought out a lot more studies in the last couple of years because
Yes.
people didn't realize like, oh my gosh, I felt sad and depressed and food didn't taste good to me. 90% of flavor in our food comes from the smell of food.
Yep.
So like, why patients with Alzheimer's or going through like Parkinson's and when they lose their sense of smell, they don't really want to eat, as you probably know,
Yeah.
because food tastes bland to them because their sense of smell is diminished. Yeah, just, the connection with our memory is so important and so
Yeah.
beautiful too. And we can use it like positively in so many
Yeah.
different ways, which is so fun. Just, yeah, like perfumes and memories. My husband and I, when we got married, we exchanged like a perfume and a cologne the day of our wedding because like this is before I was an aromatherapist, but it's kind of crazy now thinking back to it that that's what we knew.
Oh
But we
my
knew
gosh.
that we would associate that new perfume and that new cologne with our wedding day. And now, like, I don't really wear it very often anymore because, it's got synthetic fragrances and it's a little strong, but sometimes I'll take it out and just smell it. And I love to just see my reaction of
Mm.
my body. Like I did this like 6 months ago and I smelled it and instantly I just teared up, like crying. And it wasn't like negative, but it caught me so off guard because I was like, was not expecting that was
Oh
going
my
to happen.
gosh.
And it was like happy tears. It like brought back all these things I haven't thought about. We've been married for 12 years that I haven't thought about in 12 years. And like, this is the reason why, people cling to their deceased one's clothes and immediately they
Mm.
smell them because it brings
Mm.
back those memories. Like we want to
Oh,
soak
imagine.
in as much of those memories as we can. It's so amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Gosh. That's so cool that you guys did that. And before you were, really into like
Yeah.
scents and stuff.
That's like those little
So
like
sweet.
stones that line your path,
Yes.
it's so crazy.
I love that. So yeah, walk us through your nighttime routine. What does it look like?
So nighttime. I mean, it's kind of similar to the morning. Like I like it quiet and I'm
Nice.
just like a quiet person, I feel like overall. So I'm not big into like, I mean, my husband will watch TV. I'm not really a big TV watcher. I mean, unless like by the time I put the kids to bed and my day is over, I'm just exhausted.
Dead.
If
Yes.
I watch TV, I would just fall asleep, to be honest. So I love to kind of just like unwind. I love a quiet evening. We have a sauna in my house. So I'll usually we'll spray some eucalyptus spray in there. It kind of relaxes you. And then I'll go in there for a little bit. Sometimes I'll read in there. Or I'll take like a bath with like aromatic bath salts and with like lavender or like orange, or I'll make
Mm,
like a blend and just kind of soak in the tub a little bit. And then I love to just get the diffuser going and read a book. Sometimes like if my mind is a little bit busy, like I'll listen to a unwinding meditation right before bed. But usually it doesn't take me long. I'm
yeah.
pretty out pretty quick.
Oh my
But that's pretty
gosh.
much every night. Like I am not a big night owl. I know a lot of people are,
Nice.
but I'm like 10 o'clock, I'm out.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's, yeah.
I think I've gone through like phases. And so we
Mm.
just picked up like playing pickleball recently. And so
Mm,
usually it's so fun.
I
Um,
love that.
but we started doing it more later because we're like, okay, after like, we're done with work and then the kids and feeding everyone
Yeah.
dinner. And
Yeah.
so then we were playing till like, I think 10. And I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore because I'm like, it ramps me up more than
It's
anything.
kind of addicting. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good. So it's so
I know.
fun. So like when you get into it, it's like, ah, so
Oh, I
ditto.
love that.
I like more of the like I'm actually not a like date night person either. Like I'd rather do like date mornings, like going out to
Oh, yeah.
breakfast or something. Cause like
Mhm.
nighttime is like by the end of the day, I honestly don't want to
Yeah.
go out and do entertainment. I'd rather just be home and reading books and watching shows or
Yeah.
just, I don't know, being at home. I'm a morning
That's
person
me.
through and through.
Yep.
So like you want to do
Me.
something social, it better be in the morning. But all my friends who are more so sleep in, they're like, oh,
I
like,
know.
sorry.
I'm the same. I'm the same. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. The sun starts going out. I'm like, okay, like
Exactly.
the
I
day's
mean,
over.
right. I feel like evolution, that's what it naturally was,
Mhm.
is you do things when this, oh, nothing good
Yeah.
happens when the sun goes down. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it does,
Mhm.
but,
No, yeah.
so I love that. And so tell me more about like, what are you eating in a day? Like, what's your go-to breakfast, lunches, dinner,
Okay.
beverages throughout the day?
The little bit intimidating question coming from a nutritionist.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, but really, I think we're pretty healthy eaters, because it just makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So, um, we, let's see. So I'm a big water drinker. I don't drink. We gave up coffee a couple years ago because I think as I was getting older, it was just making me more jittery.
Mhm.
I still love the smell of it. I still sometimes will drink decaf, but I just drink water throughout the day. Also this year I kind of gave up alcohol too, just because I was like, I'm just gonna try
Yeah.
it for like dry January. And then it kind of just like overflowed into the other months because I was like, I don't really need it anymore. Like not that I needed it before, but I was really like recognizing when it was like a soother versus when it was like,
Mm,
for fun or whatnot. So now I don't know, it's like pretty rare that I drink alcohol, but I sleep so much better and I'm just have much better energy. But I still have like a glass of wine here and there. So don't get me wrong.
yes.
um, but so in the morning, I usually have a good protein shake after if the days that I run right away. Cause usually after I run, it's hard for me to eat like a big meal because I just, like I just can't.
Yeah.
So my go-to protein shake is like a peanut butter chocolate one. So I'll do
Nice.
like Greek yogurt and chocolate protein powder. And like I'll put an avocado or a banana in there. I throw some kale in because we usually just freeze a bunch of kale from the garden. Um, and yeah, some peanut butter. And
Love
then
that.
usually like after, hour or two passes after that, then I'll have like a 6-minute egg, like, when you boil the egg for 6 minutes and you still have the yolk inside.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
our, like, my kids love that too, just for a little extra protein. Sometimes I'll put, like, I make sourdough bread. So sometimes I'll put that like on sourdough bread toast with like arugula and then my 6-minute egg, or I'll put like some sun-dried tomatoes on it. And then lunch, I usually
Sounds good.
do like a salad, or I'm big into, like, my easiest, funnest, fastest, probably healthy meal is like pita bread with hummus and then a bunch of raw veggies on it. Like, whew, and then a little like
Oh.
chili pepper, cayenne pepper on top. Sometimes like
Oh.
jalapenos on it. That's probably my favorite. So like, cucumbers, just whatever I have like growing or have at home,
Oh,
peppers,
I love that.
arugula, whatever. So that's usually lunch. And then dinner, like, we usually just kind of eat what's in season. My husband's a big hunter, fisher man.
Nice.
So we have a lot of like halibut and salmon in our
Cool.
freezer. So we eat fish a lot,
Love.
which is, we're so thankful for. Or we'll have like, bottom like rockfish or elk meat. And then I'll have some type of veggie. My kids love Brussels sprouts. So we make Brussels sprouts a lot. And or like sauteed kale, and some type of carb. Obviously, like, sometimes, I don't know, I try not to consume like a huge amount of carbs, but my kids need it and I need it too. I'm a runner. So
Yes,
I know, I feel like carbs get such a bad rap,
they
right?
do.
Like they do, which
They
they're
do.
not a bad thing. So we'll have some type of starch, like, potatoes or
Yeah.
um something, rice, something to go with it. And that's pretty much the day. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that same thing, being my husband being a hunter as well. So we get like a lot of deer.
Mhm.
And then I love that you guys have your own garden and they're just getting like super fresh vegetables and stuff. Like,
So
do
good.
you use actually essential oils in anything in gardening?
I use them to deter like aphids. That's probably the number one thing that I do. Just
Okay.
because those stinker little aphids will attach. Other than that, I haven't really had a huge need to use them because, like, well, we have like chickens, so they eat a lot of the insects, which kind of like helps cut back on a lot of that. Plus our garden is really huge. So it's almost like if the insects take, 20% of it,
Yes.
it's okay. Like, it's for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of like, I don't, thankfully we don't have to like do a lot of like pesticides or anything like that. Just
Nice.
because, but that's pretty much all I use the oils for in the garden, is just for like deterring some of the pests depending on what's going on.
Team chickens. We just got 3
Yay.
and I love them. And yeah, I was just thinking like I feed them so good. We get like the scratch and peck like chicken feed and
Mhm.
they're just so much fun. And I ferment their feed. And then I'm like,
Mhm.
this morning I was even just walking out. I was like, man, I feed these chickens so good.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but here they are like trying to get maggots by my trash
Oh
can.
yeah.
Like,
No, that's what they love. That's
I
good.
know, but I'm like, I'm trying to feed them organic and they're eating maggots. Okay.
That's organic.
It is
I
actually.
know. I know, but I don't,
Um,
it's so funny. The things that they eat, I'm just like, wow, okay.
yes. I
That makes
actually,
a happy chicken.
yes. And I actually brought that up of like how chickens are very much carnivore, just as much as they love like grass and stuff.
Mm. Oh
Cause I
yeah.
think we think like, oh, they're vegetarian because all you
Oh
see is like
yeah.
vegetarian fed.
Oh
And
no.
then everyone's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, they eat like all the bugs and like,
Yeah.
yeah, they'll eat straight like
Everything.
raw beef. Like,
Yeah. We give them,
nice.
like, when we have crab, because we'll catch crab because we live in the Pacific Northwest, like we give them the crab shells and they'll devour them, which is crazy because you're like, how did they like
Whoa.
peck through and eat them? But it's so good because it increases their calcium, makes their eggs, the shells harder and the yolks,
Mm.
oranger. So, but it's crazy the things that they eat that I'm like, really?
Yes. Well, ours don't like, yeah, they should be, but I did end up buying grit. We haven't really gave it to him yet. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wow, like this is pretty hard. And they
Mhm.
somehow just eat it. I know it helps with their little digestion and the
Yeah.
thing that's in there. I always forget the name of it. So this is
Yeah.
like our first, I'm learning all things chicken, but I'm just like,
It's
this
fun.
is amazing. But it does, it actually helped me like slow down and
Mhm.
just get back to like being human and not always work,
Yeah.
work, work,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I was very grateful for that side effect of having a chicken.
Yeah. They're fun. They are fun. It's fun
So,
to see kids with them too.
oh, so fun. So fun. Actually, my daughter was always bringing her that like one
Yeah.
inside. And
Yeah.
my husband's like, no, no chickens inside. And so like, she'll just like, I don't even know if it's a cluck. Honestly, this chicken sounds like a goose a little bit. But she'll
Oh
make her
yeah.
little sound and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, get her out of the house.
So cool. And chickens remember that too. Like they can actually like
Do they?
remember, like they can remember up to like 100 faces. And they can also remember like bad experiences with people. And yeah, I always make sure my kids know this. So they're like the chickens love my kids, probably because they just are so sweet to them and they just nurture them. But
Yes.
I always remind them, I'm like, you want to be nice to them because they remember, like, which is
Oh
just
my gosh.
interesting. Yeah, they
Good
have
to
very good
know.
memories. Yeah.
Actually, I fully agree with that because my husband he's usually the one like rougher with them, not in a bad way, but he'll like when like not a gentle, like he'll grab them and like all that stuff. And they like hate him honestly, because he's just so rough
Oh,
and tough. And
yeah.
every time they see him, they're like, skirt.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I'm
They
out of here.
remember. They remember. It's so interesting.
I'm like, see, you gotta be like nice and kind to them. But he's a guy, so he likes that rough and tough. And I'm like, no, you
Mhm.
cannot do that with the chickens.
So funny. Yeah. Our chickens will just flock to my kids if they're like free ranging it outside. And we have like 55 chickens. So they just like collective, especially what my one daughter who's 9, who just like babies them. They like, oh, they're
Yes.
obsessed with her. Like it's
Yes.
like she'll get the rooster to eat out of her hand. Like I'm like, what? Like,
Oh my
and like loves
gosh.
her. I know it's so cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Yeah, my daughter's 9 too. So
Yeah.
I got him for her birthday. And so she is
Oh,
like the queen of the chickens.
yes.
But I think it's funny. She has this one that she just loves and always picks up, and it's a Brahma. So they're just
Uh-huh.
naturally a huge
Yeah.
breed. And so it like
Mhm.
honestly has gotten so big. I'm like, how do you even hold
Oh,
that now?
yeah.
But I swear, I'm like, I swear when she sees you, she's like, oh, here's that girl that's gonna pick me up again.
Oh, no, they like it. They like that.
Oh, good. Good to
They like
know.
being picked up and like kind of smuggled. They start to like almost purr like little kittens too. Like it's
Oh,
cute.
I will literally, after we're done, go out and like hug some chickens. But I know you mentioned some of your like one healthy like little go-to meal. Do you have another other or couple that it's like always on rotation because it's just
Oh,
easy or it's yummy?
okay. I love, oh my gosh, so much. So we eat a lot of egg dishes. So I love a
Mm.
good scramble with veggies. I make eggs Benedict a lot, but we'll serve it on lentils instead of the English muffin, just because a
Ooh.
little extra like protein and it's so good. We love it with lentils.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Never
I
thought of
also
that.
we love, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Stetson chop salad before. So there was
No.
this restaurant in Phoenix. They used to make it. The restaurant isn't there anymore called Cowboy Chow, but it's the Stetson chop salad. Look it up. But it has like smoked salmon, arugula, corn, trying to think, tomatoes, like Israeli couscous, and might be a couple other things that are like I think currants, and then this like pesto aioli sauce that you like, and then
Oh,
you mix it all together. And it has like crunchy and like so many different flavors at the same time. That's probably like one of our favorites that we could never live without because it's just, and it's so pretty. Like you line it on the plate by like color, so it looks like this rainbow.
oh
So
my
even my kids like
gosh.
love it because it's pretty, you know. So but then you mix it all up at the end. But that's
Oh my
probably one of
gosh.
our favorites. Yes, make that. It's super easy to make and it tastes
Ooh.
so good.
Oh my gosh. Do you have, it sounds like I hear a little trend, like eggs, arugula, like there's
Yeah,
definitely some foods that are like
things that I like.
must.
Yes, yes, for sure. Eggs and arugula together, preferably. They always go together. Yeah, I love arugula, like, oh, and kale. Yeah, those are the things that we like have to make sure we're growing in the garden on nonstop.
All the time. Is it
Yep.
pretty easy to grow?
Arugula, oh yeah, super easy
Yeah.
to grow. Yeah, it grows in
Ooh,
the summer, grows in the colder times of the year. Like right now, our arugula is crazy and it's not even that warm yet for summer. So
I
yeah,
love
super
that.
easy to grow. Mhm.
How often? Because I mean, you're busy. You have a lot like career wise. How often are you able to get out in the garden and tend to it, or is it pretty hands off at this point?
We spend a lot of time in the garden.
Oh, I
That's
love
where we
that.
hang out. It's just we just love
I
it.
love
So I
that.
will not say it's like easy. But I mean, with the sun going down so late, like there's often a lot of nights, like some nights we'll put the kids to bed and then my husband will go out to the garden for, an hour or two and like weed or just harvest things. I mean, right now it's not that bad because it's just everything's growing. And I feel like September
Yeah.
is the big month where it's like a little bit busy because everything needs to be harvested. So I'll can a ton in September. I'll try to like can or preserve something every single day in September. That's always my goal every September.
Wow.
So we'll like freeze a lot or can a lot. So right now it's not too bad. We're just like, making sure it has enough water and growing. But come September is the time where I'm like, oof, like I get a little
Wow.
exhausted. Yeah.
And so
So
you're preserving them and then just eating them throughout the year?
Yep. We
Okay.
can a ton and freeze a ton. That's why I like my
Nice.
smoothies and stuff. Like we have a ton of fruit trees and things too. So I'll pick like cherries and pears and peaches. And then we have like a lot of fruit trees. And then we have a lot of like berry bushes, raspberries, blackberries, loganberries, salmon berries,
So
and
are
probably
your
missing
chickens
some.
eating this?
They don't. I think because there's so much else that they can focus on. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
really let them in the garden area this time of year just because they'll just scratch it all up.
Yes.
But there's other areas that they go that they're like fenced out of that area. So there's other places that they go
Okay.
and have the time of their lives. So
That's hilarious. I
but
love that.
sometimes they sneak in and they get in trouble. But
I love that. I know they are sneaky.
Mhm.
And so you're doing all these things. And honestly, I feel like I hear even in your routines that there's so many like self-care things that you do like morning and night. So do you feel like that contributes to just keeping you balanced throughout the day and being able to like work as hard as you do without feeling, I'm not saying that you never feel overwhelmed, but
Yeah.
just maintaining that so it's not a chronic thing?
Yeah. So I'm a huge self-care advocate. Like I'm constantly talking about self-care. I think sometimes I talk about it just to remind myself to
Yeah.
engage in it more. Um, yeah, I am really big about like keeping myself on track with it by scheduling it. Because if
Yeah.
I have a busy week, I know I'll never get to self-care. Even if I don't have a busy week, I probably won't get to self-care because I'll make my week busy
Yeah.
and fill in everything. So like when I am making like my calendar every Sunday, like I'll sit down and kind of look at my week. I always make sure there's something called like white space, meaning that there's nothing on that day or maybe half of that day. And that kind of
Love
gives me
that.
something to look forward to. So then during that white space moment, like today, the afternoon is my white space day. So before I get my kids, like I know I'm going to be really intentional about, reading a book or doing something that fills me up, even if it's like just an hour.
Yeah.
So just trying to take those little moments every single day to fill my cup. And I feel like self-care, like, I get really upset about self-care because I feel like in this modern day world, like we are like fed this idea of self-care being, spa days, which is, don't get me wrong, spa days are awesome. Like I love them,
Yes.
but these luxurious like weekends away and spa days and,
Yes.
like all these different ideas. And it's like, actually the self-care industry, I don't know if you know the numbers, but like in 2014, the self-care industry was like worth $10 billion. And then they did this study in 2020, it actually increased to $450 billion.
I
So
can
like we're like
totally see that.
fed this idea that self-care, we see that word everywhere, that it's, this luxurious thing that we just spend so much
Yes.
like money and time on. And like, even like my Instagram community, like I pulled last year and asked them like, do you do self-care every day? And I was so surprised. There was like 8,000 that responded and they all like 64% of them said that they don't. And I was like, what? Like, you guys know. Yes, you do. Like, I think they just we don't know what self-care is.
Right.
Like,
Cause it is
it's,
so like, oh, I know I don't go to the spa or I don't get, yeah. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
Wow.
So like taking my run in the morning, I feel like keeps me really grounded. Like if I don't do that run in the morning or get some type of activity in, like, oh, that helps me so much. And yesterday, like my allergies were out of control. So I didn't run in the morning because I was like, I just cannot run with this. So I promised myself, I'm like, when I get done, I'm going to leave my office a little bit early and I'm going to go for a walk when I get home. And
Mm,
maybe if I feel like running, I'll run, but just like a walk. And it's crazy. Just that 15 minutes, like outside in nature, sun on the face, like it worked like a
Oh my gosh.
miracle for just like unwinding and relaxing, or just something simple like listening to music, maybe
Yeah.
while I'm doing something. Like maybe I'm multitasking, but like music plays such a huge role. And obviously, like essential oils, like are big into my self care. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm constantly checking in my body. Like, am I carrying tension anywhere? And from then I'll grab, an oil. Maybe I'll give myself a little self massage in that spot, or I'll just breathe in an oil if I'm feeling like overwhelmed or anxious. So many different ways that I incorporate essential oils
I
into
love
my
that.
self-care routine. Yeah.
But see, it's so simple. And
Mhm.
I love when studies keep coming out about just being in nature and how that reduces like cortisol. And it's just so
Yes.
encouraging because it's free and every
Yes.
single person has access to it. And I think sometimes we want to find that pill or find something that's really magical that you have to buy or a machine or whatever. And it's like, that's also like medicine right outside. Which is, again, kind of
Yes.
goes back to like chickens. Like it did make me be
Yes.
outside more. And I
Yes.
loved that.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I think
I'm
me
with
just
you.
doing farm chores in the morning, like even in the winter when it's super cold, maybe there's snow on the ground, it still feels good to get outside and get that
Yes.
exposure to the sunlight, which is so helpful for our melatonin and the circadian rhythm. And,
Yes.
but like just that 5 minutes, and I try to make my kids come with me. I'm like, you're coming with me. We're going to do the chores, and they love it. But just them, if they can get outside first thing in the morning too, it works wonders for just their moods and spirits
Yes.
and all the above.
All the things. I love
Yes.
that. I know you mentioned Headspace, but do you have any other like little resources or tools that you've loved for just like growing like mental health?
Mm. So I'm a huge advocate, obviously, for exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really love to read. I feel like reading, like,
What are
and
your
not
books?
just like reading self-help books, because I mean, those
Mm-hmm.
are great, but like reading something just for fun that is light, that can just help take our mind off of all those
Yes.
other things that we're doing. Like I was busy the last couple of months. I was teaching a really big course for a couple of my students to become certified aromatherapist. So I wasn't reading as much because I was just busier. And I just started reading because my class just finished. And I was like, oh, I love this so much. Even just a quick chapter of the book, like it just, you focus in on it. There's no distractions. I don't know how people read on their phones. I could never do that because the phone is such a distraction,
I
but like
prefer a
opening up
book.
a book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Opening a book and taking the time just to read a book. That's probably like so helpful for mental health.
Yes.
Those
Oh,
things like,
yes, I listen like self-help stuff. I listen like via Audible and I try to do more of the fiction
mm,
stuff with an actual book. And I do obviously have the Kindle app on my iPad, but
yeah.
I much prefer like a book because I'm always looking
Mhm.
at screens for work, like
Yeah.
always. And so I just
Yep.
need something, even watching a show, I'm looking at a screen. So I need something
Yes.
that's like off screen. And so I still prefer a book to
Completely.
this day.
100% agree.
Um,
Yeah.
what are some of your favorite books? Not both in both regards. Like, what are some
Oh,
like books that helped you business wise or self help? And then what are some of your favorite like fun books?
oh gosh. Okay. Self-help books. Gosh, I read a lot of aromatherapy books.
I love
But
that.
as far as like general like self-development, one of my favorites, I don't know if you've read it, it's by Kate Northrup. And it's
Sounds
called Do
familiar.
Less. I think her mom's big into like women's health and hormonal care and things like that. But she wrote this book called Do Less, and it just talks about like basically, like if we do less, we can accomplish more. And
Mm,
it talks about different studies in it and how like other countries, they only work 4 days a week versus 5 days a week, and how they're much more like productive during those 4 days and much more happier. But I think we have like this like do it all entrepreneur like attitude, a lot of
mm,
us. So this book is
yes.
actually encouraging you to the opposite and do less, which I feel like sometimes as achievers and entrepreneurs, like it's really
Yes.
hard to do that. So by actually doing less, we can accomplish more and just be at better peace, and our health is better and we're just happier. We have a better work-life balance. So that's probably one of my favorite books. I've read it a couple of times, or just even
I
like
love
little
that.
sections as reminders. She has like such beautiful like quotes in there. Gosh, as far as like like other books just for fun, like I read so many. I
I'm a
read,
romance gal. So like
yeah.
I
Oh,
am a huge
nice.
like romance book
Yeah.
gal. So like Colleen Hoover and
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, right now I'm reading Kristen Hanna Night Road, which is good. I'm trying to think. I mean, they've been all over the place. I loved The Apothecary. I can't think of who the author is, but that was a really great book, something different than I've read in a while. And it kind of tied in like herbs and essential oils a little bit. So that was kind of fun for me. I mean, Jodi Picoult, I like a lot of her books. There's just so many great authors out there now that like,
Yes.
I loved Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't know if you've read that
Yes. And I
or seen
watched
the
the movie
movie too.
too.
Yeah, that book I loved. So many. Any
I
book
love
that like
that.
connects nature a little bit in it, like just yeah, but a wide range. So many different wide range books that I've read.
Yes. I'm trying to, I was looking up Kristen Hanna, and I swear I did read a book by her, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I did or not, because it's like not coming up as I like search her name, but I swear it was from her.
Oh, she's written so many books.
I know. Dang. But that you just loving herbs and stuff, I found that when I was actually very opposed to it, because it was like it was a show set like way back when, and I'm usually not a person that loves like watching like with scenes in like the 1800s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever seen like Outlander? I know you're not a big
No,
person.
I haven't.
Okay. So obviously like the love story is amazing.
Yeah.
And everyone just said, Lahana, you'd love it. You'd love it. And so I just kind of pushed through to watch it, and now obsessed, like you should love it. But one thing that I really loved about the show was, the girl, even in the very beginning, before she like went back in time to the 1700s, she loved herbs. And so, in the beginning of the show, she's just like, she has like this book, I think in the beginning it was set maybe in the 1940s. And so she's like reading a book, and she's like trying to identify herbs. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like, I love that. And then obviously when she went back in time, and she had to start using them for medicinal
Oh,
purposes.
yeah.
And obviously that's not the huge part of the show, but I love that it's
Yeah.
integrated. And so I was just totally geeking
Yeah.
out. I'm like, oh
I love
my gosh, like, I
that.
love that she's using that
I'll have to
herb for
check it
this.
out. Yeah. If I get into a show, then I can't stop watching it. So that's why it's really hard for me to like start, because then I know I'll be like
Oh,
sucked in. So maybe I'll have to put that on my list. My husband's gone for the next
oh.
2 weeks. So I might like
Oh, girl,
branch out a
put it
little, like
on
do a
your
little, yeah.
list. It's so
I
good.
will. I will.
It probably took me a couple of episodes to like really get into it, because the first couple episodes, there are like really helpful things. It kind of seems boring, but you'll
Yeah.
actually love learning like and paying attention to it, because it will like, you'll just see it come to fruition and being used. But I loved it. But I just thought, like, as you said that, I'm like, oh, I love shows that like incorporate little things like that.
Yeah.
That's like my interest too. But I love that. So I appreciate all the time that you've spent with us today, and just talking about like your routines and habits. Where can people find you if someone is like interested in like aromatherapy? Just share where they can find you and get connected.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at Science of Essentials, or scienceofessentials.com. That's my website. Those are my two main hangouts. I also wrote a book all about Science of Essentials. It's called Science of Essentials, and two other books last year. But my big one is the Science of Essentials, was just like an essential guide for aromatherapy, just to promote health and healing. It's a great book for those that want to dive deeper into like the science, but also kind of a good basic book for those that are just kind of getting started and want to just learn more about how to use it for stress or anxiety, or just to help support their skin or with their children or whatnot. So it's the book I always like wished was out there when I started. So
I love
you always
that.
write the book you wish you could have found.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And it's so nice getting to know you.
You too. Thank you.